No, we are not going to be fitting an electronic ignition to this thing. It needs a little bit more work than that. Instead, we're going to fit it to this. This has points in it at the moment, so we're going to change a couple of things over. Please excuse my dodgy props. This is a surface mount microphone, but we're going to pretend it's a photocell for now. And there are a couple of different types of electronic ignitions available. One uses a pulse wheel that's mounted on the distributor shaft under the button, and as that goes around it breaks a beam of light. This is just an LED, so on, off, on, off, on, off, and that goes through some electronic circuitry, and that way you get a sort of on-off status for the coil to fire. Now these are pretty good. In fact, some of them are even programmable. They're really high-end things, but a lot of them use a separate box on the firewall, and I wanted to stay away from that and use something a little simpler. Now this works on the same principle as walking in a shop. Basically you have a light source on one side of the door, a photocell on the other. It sounds the alarm when you walk in, the shopkeeper comes out. So I've gone with the Ignitor. And there are several different types of Ignitor. This is just the basic one. There's Ignitor 2 and Ignitor 3 as well. And they, some of them even pulse several times per cycle, so they're very good at burning fuel and exceedingly good for high revs. But this is just the basic one, and it works on the principle of basically, long leads, basically a coil of wire. This is very oversimplified. There's a lot more in here than just a coil of wire. But a coil of wire and a series of permanent magnets, and as they rotate past that coil of wire, the magnetic field breaks down in the wire, in the coil, and produces electricity. And that's used to turn the base of a transistor on. But as that goes past, on, off, we're producing a very small amount of electricity, which isn't enough for the car, but transistors are an amplifier. And so it turns the base on, off as we're turning, and breaks off proportional chunks of line voltage. And what comes out here is a high voltage version of what went in there. It's just an amplifier circuit, and then of course it goes through some other circuitry and inverts it to a sort of a switch negative 12 volts on and off, which fires your coil. I was a bit gun shy. I had to take this off because I don't want to start checking timing and so forth with the fan there. This is a fixed fan. It was pretty dangerous. So here we have our lovely little Ford V8. We're going to use this one today. I'm just going to take the air cleaner off. It's got 4V there. It's a big lie. It's only a 2V, but I've got to get a decent manifold for it. I've got a holly here for this car, but I haven't got around to putting it on yet. Alright, so I'll just flick those little clips off and move this out the way. I might undo the coil and just throw that up there out of the way, and we can take that off and check and see that we've got the right unit, because it would be a bit of a pain if we didn't. I'm a little bit worried about this. It doesn't quite look the same. And the other thing that worries me is the Ignitor one that I've got. They don't stipulate a thermal grease underneath, which I find most surprising. I'm going to take these three out now. When you take these out, it's really wise to keep them in a sandwich bag. It just all lifts out like that. And these can be kept in a sandwich bag, so that if you're stranded on the side of the road, if something goes wrong and you're stranded on the side of the road, you can just plop these back in and you can drive off again. That's the beauty of the Ignitor. It's really it's good and simple. Just got a really small bit of wax and grease remover here. I'm just going to clean up that base plate. You see it's a bit dirty. It's most important that it's clean. And of course you don't need to have a lubricant on the cam, which you do with points because they chafe, but with an electronic you don't need that. You can keep that all nice and clean. So we'll just make sure. And the other reason I want this nice and clean is I want to have a good thermal contact for it, because it doesn't stipulate to use thermal grease on the bottom. And I've fitted quite a few of these. Whoopsie. I've fitted quite a few of these to British 4-cylinder cars and 6-cylinder cars that use the Lucas 25D distributor, and those units all use thermal grease. This is the only one that doesn't, which makes me a bit nervous, but perhaps it's just a better design, more efficient, and doesn't heat up as much. Anyway, we've got to make sure we put the earth back on. My fat fingers are going to be in the way to make this. I'm just going to make sure it goes in as a dowel. There it is there. Okay, we can I might just take that line off the carburettor. Yep, we're working. Will it give me any more? Yeah, we can give yourself a bit more cable there, and that will just squeeze down into that hole. Oops, wrong way. There we go. Nice and tidy. How tidy is that? And of course that little magnet goes on. Now these have to be adjusted. Now that's touching, that's no good. You need 30 thousandths clearance between there and the magnet. Oh no, there we go. 30 now, beautiful. So we'll plonk our rotor button back on. Alright, so we can put that back on. Yeah. Now the next thing with these is resistance. They're very susceptible to the wrong resistance in the coil. Now I have a new coil for it, which is a flamethrower, 40,000 volts, which is a bit scary. A lovely new flamethrower, so I can put that on. That's the recommended coil to use with the igniter. So you always have to make sure your red's to positive and black's to negative. If the wire's reversed, the transistor will fail. The igniter will be inoperative and warranty will be void. I'm spewing it too. I like my orange coil. And now negative. I think we've only got the two. Oh, give myself a bloody splitter. Right, well I've gone over the wiring. There's three positives. One goes to the distributor, one's a power, and the other one's for the exciter circuit on the alternator. That's why there's so many of those, and I've clipped it all. I've double and triple checked everything, and I think we're good. But just before I power it up, I just want to make sure. I'm just going to read those instructions again, just to make sure I'm on the right track. Coming. Right, well I've checked everything out. The black goes to minus, the red goes to plus. I've got the earth strap back in there for the plate that the points are sitting on. I've got to get an air cleaner for this. Everything seems to be right on. The gap's right there. This is all kosher, so I think we'll give it a kick in the guts. We've got to let it run for a few minutes and then check the timing in a conventional way. But we'll give it a go now. Coil power's on. Gotta go and have dinner. I'll come out and do the rest later. But that's a pretty good result. I'll check the timing, then I can leave it be. All done. See you later.